I'm Kalani, and I'm struggling a little bit. I'm trying to wrap this Christmas present for my dad, but it's just not turning out like I hoped it would. I saw this going so very differently in my head. Looks like I need more practice. Wrapping Christmas presents like this gets me excited about this season, and I can't wait for Christmas to get here. Have you ever had to wait for something really fun or amazing to happen? Like maybe you had to wait for it to snow so you could go sledding. Or maybe you're waiting for school to get out for Christmas break. We all have to wait sometimes. You know, all this reminds me of a story in the Bible. The Bible is God's true message to us about himself, and it is full of stories of people who had to wait. And wait. And then wait some more. Let's open the Bible to the book of Isaiah, over in the Old Testament, the first part of the Bible, to learn more. You see, God's people have been waiting a long time for Jesus to come, but it wasn't time yet. So God sent a prophet, a person who shared special messages from God, to help his people have hope, or trust something good would happen while they waited. Let's check it out.
The prophets told about Jesus. One of God's prophets was named Isaiah. Isaiah lived hundreds of years before Jesus was born on earth, and he wrote 3 messages about Jesus. The first message Isaiah gave the people was about who Jesus was and who his mother would be. God said through the prophet Isaiah that God will give the people a sign. A young woman would have a son and name him Emmanuel, which means God with us.
Did you catch that? This message from God was all about Jesus. Isaiah said his name would be Emmanuel, but that isn't the name we usually use for Jesus. So why did God call him that? You see, Emmanuel means God with us. This was God's way of saying that he was sending Jesus into the world to be with us. God never leaves us alone, and he is always with us. Wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's keep going.
God sent Isaiah a message about other names Jesus would be given, names that describe what he is like. A child will be born for us, a son will be given to us, and the government will be on his shoulders. He will be named Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Eternal Father, Prince of Peace. Through the prophet Isaiah, God reminded the people that the one God promised would be born from the family of King David. God also sent a message about the wonderful things he would do. God's Spirit would rest on him, a spirit of wisdom and strength and love for God. He would not judge people by what he saw with his eyes or heard with his ears. Everything he did would be righteous and faithful.
Whoa, what a cool message of hope. God told the people what Jesus would be like through his names. Wonderful Counselor. This means Jesus had all wisdom and would give that wisdom to people. Mighty God. This name means that Jesus had all of God's power. Eternal Father. His name for Jesus means that he and God are the same. The Prince of Peace, or Jesus, was the person who would bring peace to the world. These messages gave hope, and they reminded the people that Jesus was coming. This is who Jesus is. This is his identity, both God and human. Another one of God's prophets was named Micah. Let's see what this prophet said about Jesus.
God said through Micah, "Bethlehem, you are small, but someone will come from this place who will rule all of God's people." God kept the promise he made through the prophets Isaiah and Micah. Hundreds of years later, everything the prophets said about Jesus came true. Jesus was born to be with us and make a way for us to be forgiven and have a relationship with God. Jesus is the greatest hope.
Incredible. God gave his people special messages while they waited and hoped for Jesus to come. Did you catch how long it was after these messages that Jesus was born? It was hundreds of years. That kind of waiting and hoping is a whole different level. God's people may have felt alone or like they wanted to give up. But they remembered these messages from God. They continued to wait and hope because they knew that Jesus was coming. God sent Jesus to be our greatest hope. In the beginning, God made us to have a perfect, never messed up relationship with Him. But we broke God's good plan when we chose to do what we think is best instead of what God says is best. That's called sin. And sin messed up that relationship with God. But at just the right time, God sent Jesus to be born, and it changed everything. When we ask God to forgive our sins and trust in Jesus to save us, He does. And God promises that He will be with us forever. So the next time something exciting is about to happen and you have to wait and wait, don't lose hope. Remember that you can keep going because God is with you. God sent Jesus, Emmanuel, to be with you and make a way for you to be with God. And that is the best gift ever. I'm thinking I'm going to try to wrap this Christmas present for my dad one more time. See you later.
Hey detectives! Let's learn this month's theme verse from the Bible. The Bible is God's true message to us about Himself. Today we are looking at the book of Matthew in the second part of the Bible, the New Testament. They will name Him Emmanuel, God with us. Matthew 1:23b. This Bible verse is talking about Jesus. God's people had been waiting for a long time for Jesus to come. And at Christmas, we celebrate that God sent Jesus to be born at just the right time. Another name for Jesus is Emmanuel, which means God with us. Now everyone, stand up and repeat after me. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. They will name Him Emmanuel.
They will name Him Emmanuel.
God with us.
God with us.
Matthew 1:23b.
Matthew 1:23b.
Great job! When we celebrate Christmas, we can remember that we are never alone because God is with us. Let's say our theme verse all together, but this time I want you to say it with a quiet whisper voice, like you're pretending to be a detective. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. They will name Him Emmanuel, God with us. Matthew 1:23b. Great job! We are never alone because God sent Jesus for us. It looks like this case is closed.
Cooper, we've got a new case.
Or so I thought.